Gee, Vaharija. I thought today we might look at pronunciation, which a lot of us have trouble with, especially people like me from other parts of the world. And there is a really good site called Fuaimeanna, and I'm just going to share that with you. Uh, share. And you can see up here at the top, fuaimeanna.ie /en /sounds.aspx. Now, what's great about this site is it gives examples for each sound in Irish in the three common dialects. Of course, there are about 66 unique sounds in Irish, and unfortunately, only 18 official letters of the alphabet. So the language has to get creative. So let's look at how it does that. If we look at the letter A, it's a very short sound. So if we go to some examples here on the example page, it's transcribed in the International Phonetics Alphabet as simply A. If it gets shorter than that, it becomes what they call a schwa sound. And this sort of like upside down E, upside down and backwards E. That's more like an whereas this is more a, as in cut or hut. So it's a very short sound. We listen to here, we'll hear the A here pronounced
A wall.
a wall. So a wall. We can hear the at the beginning. And it's pretty much the same all the way through for that. So no difficulty with that one. It's a front vowel. It's very open, but it's short. And if we go back, the next couple that it gives here are diphthongs. But before we get to that, let's have a look at the longer A sound. So we have A and then ah, which is more like ah as in father. And in the International Phonetics Alphabet, they represent that with an A and two little dots afterwards to lengthen it. So let's have a look at some of those. Now, it can vary a little bit within the language. Let's have a listen here.
A ré.
So, a, which is not quite the sound I was after. Here is the sound we're after.
Raw.
Ah. So it's an ah, but it's long. Ah. This one over here, which you'll see that they transcribe them both the same way, but this one's more like the as in cat, but longer. A, a, a,
A ré.
a. And this one is more
Raw.
it's more like ah as in father. So in Old Irish or Proto-Irish, whatever was around originally, there were probably short and long vowels uh, throughout the language. A couple of diphthongs, dip, D, di meaning two, and thong meaning sound. I think it's from the Greek. Don't quote me. um, A and I together, I, I, as as in the sound I, as in your eye. But there's a couple of different ways that it can be written in Irish. So AI is logical, but you might not expect ADH to be also the same sound. So the DH it does some interesting things in Irish, but after an A, it becomes I. So if we listen to here,
Cain.
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 So rather than saying Kai-in. It's all getting rolled into one I sound.
Kain.
Kai-in. And you're getting almost a y sound added to the final N there.
Kine.
Kine. Kine. So that's more like we'd expect. But yeah, the DH, to all intents and purposes, it disappears. So we can just pretty much ignore it there. The three dialects that they give us in Fuaimeanna are the Irish of Gweedore, which is in Ulster, the Irish of the Red Quarter, Rua, so that's Connacht, and we've got the Irish of Black Cork, Corca Ruivna, which is down in Munster. Munster always does quite a few different things to Ulster. Yeah, Ulster and Munster are the extremes of the variations that you get, but just about any valley in Ireland has probably got its own unique variation of the dialect. So these are just generalizations. So this one here, Kaidan, which is standard, and in fact you probably hear of the Kaidan Ifigal, which is a standard dialect. But anyway, let's hear it sounds in Ulster.
Kaidan. Kaidan.
Kaidan.
Kaidon. Kaidon.
So nothing really unexpected there. AI, I, as rhymes with I. But occasionally you might see something written as AI and it won't do what you expect. Well, not in all the dialects. So for instance, this one, I would look at that and I would say Kyle. But let's just hear what happens.
Kal.
So here the I is becoming more like that in cat sound and getting lengthened. So
Kal.
Kyle, Kyle in Connacht,
Coil. Coil.
Kyle.
Coil.
So it's a long, almost a long A sound there.
Kyle,
And this is what we expect. Kyle,
Kyle,
Kyle. And because it's got what they call a narrow vowel, an I or an E before the final consonant, we're getting a little bit of that y sound after the consonant. Technically, that's called palatization, but don't worry about that. It's just where your tongue moves to touch the palate, the roof of your mouth. But I just call it a U sound. Kainch, that, or at least that's how I would say that word there, kainch.
Kant.
So that sound at the end there is almost becoming a ch, ch,
Kant.
kainch, and it's just a straight, short sound. Almost the same in Connacht.
Kants. Kants.
And in Munster, we get the sound that we expect.
kind, kind,
Kite. I would still tend to myself palatize the final consonant and say kite, but that's just me. Where we get the ADH doing its AI thing is in words like fibe. So we could, in theory, write this as AI, F-A-I-B, fibe, fibe. But just remember, if you see ADH, it's an I sound, mostly. Oftentimes the DH can get dropped altogether. What else? Sometimes you'll get two words mashed together that look like they're ADH, but in fact it's an A on the end of one word and a DH beginning with the other. Like there's a word for wild nature or wildlife, which is Fiagulra. So Dulra is nature and Fia being the wild. And coming together, they form because when you put Dulra with Fia, it gets softened or shavued. So it gets the DH sound at the beginning. So you end up with a word that has an ADH, but it's not I. It's Fiagulra. Anyway, so all these things just look like rules of thumb, but they don't work in every case, which is a nuisance, but you get used to it. And it's the fun of Irish. Now, the other diphthong that uses an A sound is ow, 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 ow. You can hear it becoming the ow sound as you say the and the oo very quickly together. This can get transcribed two ways, depending on the subtleties of the sound. So A and U can be what it appears like in the International Phonetics alphabet. And sometimes when it's really strong, I'll call strong, it gets this backwards C and a U. So let's see how that comes out. So for words like I would say in Kaidan, if you go, you look at that and go but it can vary a bit.
arm,
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 that's what I sort of expected. And then we get this backwards CU sound.
Aum,
Ow, ow. So it's more than an ow. It's got almost a W added to the ow. It's like cow. If we wanted to really pronounce the W on the end of cow. Um, Here's another word here, boar. Well, that's how I would say it. Let's see how they really say it.
bore,
Boar. So more isn't it boar.
bour,
Bow. With a really rolled R on the end. You can hear that rolled R.
bour,
Bow. It's the R is almost becoming a close to a th there, which
bour,
bow. It's getting softened a bit. But you can hear that ow sound. Now, if we listen to this one here, the Munster version,
Baur,
it's a really bower, bower. You can hear that.
Baur,
So it's a deeper owl than just owl. But I think for mere mortals like us, who are learning the language as second language speakers, those exact subtleties aren't the end of the world. I mean, someone's going to understand you and go, yeah, they might not work out what dialect you're speaking, but they will understand you. Well, that's the hope. Now, where we might get some difficulties is, we'll do an easy one first. Cowluck. Cowluck is in Navy. Well, I would look at that CABHLACH and go Cowluck.
cowlach,
In Ulster, they're almost dropping the ending, but you can hear that owl.
cowlach,
Cowluck. In Connacht,
cowlach, cowlach,
Cowluck. You're getting more of that sound on the end, which is written in IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, as a X. And down in Munster, we will expect in Munster that the ending will always be strongly sounded.
Cowlach, Cowlach,
Cowlock. So if you can hear the difference between this one,
cowlach,
it's just a subtle owl, but here it's a much deeper owl.
Cowlach,
Cowlock. And of course, we're getting a strong emphasis on that final Where we have some difficulties is when we get a ABH and a AMH. And looking at both of those words, I would say them exactly the same. I would tend to say cowrie and cowrie. And if you look at the international phonetics for both of those in the Ulster and the Connacht dialects, you'll see they're pretty much the same between the two. Where they differ is the Munster, but let's just hear them.
Cowrie,
Cowrie, not what you'd expect.
Cowra.
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 Now, there the Connacht is almost dropping the ending and replacing it with an schwa type sound, that upside down backward E, schwa. Let's hear it again.
Cowra.
Cowra. And we'll expect ending of some sort on the Munster.
Cowrig.
Cowrig. So it's a very strong G.
Cowrig.
Cowrig. Now, with this one, I would say it the same way. So if you're up in Ulster or Connacht, context is the only way you're going to tell the two apart.
Cowrie,
Cowra.
So between the two,
Cowrie, Cowrie,
same,
Cowra. Cowra.
pretty much the same. But when we get here, let's hear how Munster does to decay.
Cavrig.
Kavrig. So the MH is becoming more a V sound.
Cavrig.
Kavrig. Sort of halfway between a V and a W.
Cavrig.
Rig. Remember, for a lot of these sounds, they are bilabial. So we, in English, or should I say Australian, we tend to say our V's by putting our top teeth on the bottom lips. But in Irish, with F and V type sounds, they use both lips. But it takes a bit of concentration to remember to do that.
Cavrig.
Calvrig, Calvrig.
Cavrig.
Calvrig. Yeah. So just going back to the main screen. This is probably the one of the easiest ways to go through Fuaimeanna. It takes a while to learn how to navigate it because you have to navigate it by linguistic names for things. But you can also do searches for particular sounds, and we might get to that later. But for today, that is your 4A sounds. So, like in cut or hut. I rhymes with I. And just remember that an ADH can be said the same way as AI. AI won't always be said as I. Just be aware of that. Owl can be owl or it can be owl if you really want to deepen it. And can be lengthened to be ah. So it's very long open vowel. And you could probably say that with the A sounds, the schwa, the is an even shorter version of A. So ah. And I hope that helps with your R sounds. Certainly it helps with my practice as well. Slan.